So the very first suggestion Baba gives in Becoming the SAI, he says, first be, then do, then tell. First be, know who you are, my child. Then you can act. Then you can tell others about your perspective on life. Second suggestion that Bhagwan Baba says this, exactly these words. Who can confirm, who is it can affirm that God is this or God is that? He says, who can affirm that God is not this form and with this attribute? Each one can acquire from the vast ocean, he says, only as much as we can contain in our vessel and take it back to the shore. He says, from that quantity, meaning the little quantity that we carry in our vessels, we can only grasp just a little bit of that immensity. Bhagwan Baba also says, each religion defines God within the limit that it demarcates. But more than that, he says, and after defining what God is, it then claims to have grasped Him. He says, like the 7 blind men who spoke about the elephant, and they described the elephant. Bhagwan Baba says, the blind man was asked to go to an elephant, walk around it, experience the elephant, and then describe what that elephant is. Bhagwan Baba says, the blind man who held on to the trunk of the elephant described, he says, I know what an elephant is. An elephant is like a thick rope. And the other blind man who came and was asked to touch the elephant and describe to others what is it like. And that second blind man held on to one of the feet of that elephant. He said, an elephant, he described it as, is like the trunk of a tree. The third blind man came to the elephant and he started touching, but he held only the stomach, the side of the elephant. And he described, he says, I know what an elephant is. An elephant is like a big wall. You see, Bhagwan Baba says, religion is like a blind man having just a small taste, a small experience of the grand, immense scheme of who that ultimate God is and trying to demark it. But most importantly, he says the shortcoming is when religion tries to take the claim over God. What is Baba telling us in this message, in Becoming the SAI? You know, there's a beautiful poem that I came across and that I would have shared with you over the recent past. And that poem goes like this. Just do the steps that you've been shown by everyone you've ever known until that dance becomes your very own. Into a dance you have grown from the seeds others have thrown. Go ahead, throw some seeds of your own. Because somewhere between the time that you have come and the time that you go home, there is one dance you will do alone. Into this world you have come and you have been shown the dance by everyone else. The writer says, we become excellent followers of others who teach us the steps of life. But he says, don't just get caught in following the steps of other people. Go on, throw some seeds of your very own. Take risks. Try to understand that which was taught to you by others. Throw some seeds of your very own. Because between the time that you have come into this world and the time that you go home, back to your Maker, there is one dance you and I will only do alone. This very beautiful poem reminds us about the need to step outside the boundaries of religion. You want to become the SAI? Baba says, learn to get out of those boxes that you would have created for yourselves. In every family, in every religion, in every tradition. Does this sound familiar? Sometimes we tell our children, or we tell even adults, by the elders in society, or the priests and the pundits and the imams in society, it says, this is the way things have been done for the past 100 years. You are expected to do the same. Sometimes we as leaders and as parents, we tell our children, this is who you are. and you're expected to do just that. Sometimes we tell our children, this is your responsibility, and this is all that I expect of you. Sometimes when we condition ourselves, our children, and others in societies, the followers of us in societies, and we condition them to think that this is all there is, friends, we become, Baba says, we become comfortable slaves in a prison called religion. We become comfortable slaves in a prison called tradition. We become comfortable slaves in a routine called lineage and family routines. You see, friends, Bhagwan Baba, in his words, he says, don't be caught by the routines of religion. Don't be like a blind man who holds on just to one part and think, I know the expanse of this entire creation. He says, follow it. Follow the steps that you've been shown by everyone you've ever known. The key words in that poem, not by the one person that you've ever known. Bhagwan Baba says, do the steps that you've been shown by everyone you've ever known. What does this mean? You see, sometimes when we think that we are Hindu and we don't, or we reject the concept of Christianity, we would have lost something. If we think that we are Muslims and we reject the teachings of yoga and of Hinduism and Christianity, you would have lost something. Just recently, over the last week, I heard on BBC, this is fact, this is news, that there is some sect around the world that issued a fatwa. Fatwa is an instruction in Islam. And you know what? Modified and modernized the concept of yoga. The fatwa was, don't get involved in doing yoga or yogic exercises because it will confuse you as it has Hindu roots. This is not my opinion. This is the mentality of some who portray to have understood the entire elephant but just holding on to the trunk. You see, it is not a criticism on Islam. Islam is a great religion. Islam is one of the greatest religions that exists today. Christianity is one of the greatest religions that exists today. Hinduism is the root of all religions that will always exist today and forevermore. You see, Bhagwan Baba says, but don't get caught in Christianity, Islam or Hinduism. Don't define yourself in the box of what the word of man has been given to us in the name of religion. He says, step out of that and try to experience that which is beyond you. Today I ask you to think of some of those routines that we have, some of those premonitions that we have, and ask ourselves, how can we catapult ourselves and make a somersault into that experience called spirituality?